The quorum is present. With the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery, please rise.
Mr. President, I have to call the roll.
All right, that we had done so. Okay. Mr. Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdill, Corbett, Correa, Cox, Denham, DeSaulnier, Ducheney, Dutton, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Maldonado, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee. Mr. President, the quorum is present.
The quorum is present. With members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery, please rise. We will be led in prayer this afternoon by our guest chaplain, David Warren.
More than 800 years ago, at a time of great difficulty, the Rabbi Maimonides provided a roadmap for decision-making in troubled times when he wrote, "Anticipate charity by preventing poverty. Assist the reduced fellow man either by a considerable gift or a sum of money, or by teaching him a trade, or by putting him in the way of business, so that he may earn an honest livelihood and not be forced to the dreadful alternative of holding out his hand for charity. This is the highest step and the summit of charity's golden ladder. As you proceed today with your daily business and in this time of stress, keep in mind two very important thoughts. As the Rambam Maimonides made clear, the risk of a wrong decision is preferable to the terror of indecision. And as you work to solve California's problems, remember Proverbs 11:29. He who troubles his own house will inherit the wind. For thousands of years, our services have ended with the following from the book of Numbers. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen.
Senator Lowenthal will lead us in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, the nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Privileges of the floor. Senator Harmon. Not here? Oh, there he is. Senator Harmon is recognized. Senator Harmon is recognized at President Steinberg's desk.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's my pleasure today to make a presentation. You may recall that last week this body passed SCR 94 designating April 27, 2010 as School Bus Drivers Day in California. This resolution is in recognition of the service and commitment demonstrated by school bus drivers and transportation officials in California. Their continued dedication is deeply valued and essential to the education of our youth. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the following individuals and present them with this resolution from the Department of Education Office of School Transportation, Division Director Kathleen Moore, and we have Supervisor John Green, Mike Reed, and staff members Dano Rybar and Anna Borges. I don't know if they're all here, but certainly some of them are. So it's my pleasure to present to you this resolution from the California State Senate. Step forward.
Thank you to our guests. Reports and committees will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Motions, resolutions, and notices. Senator Cedillo.
Resolutions. Almost said revolution. Under motions and resolutions, I request unanimous consent to take up S CR 103 without reference to file.
Without objection, Secretary, please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 103 by Senator Cedillo relative to Cinco de Mayo week.
For those who asked, Senate Concurrent Resolution 103 is the Cinco de Mayo week recognition that will take place here in the Senate and in the Assembly. Cinco de Mayo is more than just a significant battle in the history of Mexico's quest for democracy and independence. It's also taken on a special meaning here in the North and has played a major role of pride and self-awareness for Latinos throughout the Southwest and throughout the rest of the nation, and gives us an opportunity to recognize the important and significant role that Latinos play in our society, and particularly in a week that follows the horrific decisions made by the governor and the state legislature of Arizona. It is more significant today, more important and more noteworthy today than any other time before, and I ask for concurrence on the resolution.
Any discussion or debate? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Denham, aye. Ashburn, aye. Cox, aye. Semidian, aye. Hollingsworth, aye. Mr. President, ayes 33, no 0.
Ayes 33, no 0. That resolution is adopted. Okay. Senator Pavley? Okay. Senator Pavley? No. Okay. But she wants to wait? Okay. Consideration of the daily file. Secretary, please read. Second reading.
Senate Bill 1344, 1405, 1406, 1408, 918 with amendments, 1284 with amendments, 1418 with amendments, 1445 with amendments, 1169
Second reading
with
is deemed read, Mr. Secretary. Thank you. Governor's appointments. Unfinished business. Item 36. Ms. Walk, are you ready? Senator Walk? Okay. Pass on file. 38. 37, I should say. 37. Senator Alquist, pass on file. 38. Senator Lowenthal. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 183 by Senator Lowenthal, an act relating to residential building safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excuse me. And members. Thank you, Mr. President and members. Carbon monoxide is the leading cause of accidental poisoning deaths in the United States. Unfortunately, the initial symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning are similar to the flu, so therefore it's often misdiagnosed and not treated accordingly. The Air Resources Board estimates that every year in California, carbon monoxide poisoning accounts for between 30 to 45 deaths and between 175 and 700 emergency room visits, and possibly thousands of illnesses. SB 183 simply requires all existing single-family homes to have a carbon monoxide detector installed by July 1, 2011. For all other existing dwelling units, including apartments, the compliance date is January 1st, 2013. A minimum of 23 other states have implemented similar legislation. This is a bipartisan measure. It has no opposition. I ask for your aye vote in concurrence.
Thank you. Any debate or discussion? Secretary, please read the roll. Please call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price?
Aye.
Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye. Denham, no. Dutton, no. Mr. President? Smitty and I. Mr. President, ayes 23, noes 9.
Ayes 23, noes 9. That measure is adopted. Senator Romero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent to suspend Senate Rule 29.3 in order to take up Assembly Bill 711.
Okay, without objection, you may proceed. Secretary, please read the bill.
Assembly Bill 711 by Assemblymember Charles Calderon, an act relating to local government, making an appropriation therefore, and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I represent East Los Angeles along with Senators Cedillo and Senators Calderon. Senator Negrete McLeod has the far eastern end of East LA. And of course, the majority leader of the California State Assembly, Assemblyman Calderon. And I'm very proud to present this urgency measure on the floor today. I think it's instructive as well that Senator Cedillo just brought up Cinco de Mayo week, because it does talk about the culture and the dreams and the economic aspirations, especially for the Latino community. We know that for about a half century, there have been different efforts to try to incorporate East LA as a city. If East LA was incorporated as a city, it would be the 10th largest city in all of Los Angeles County. The most current incorporation effort is the strongest one yet. Members, more than a third of the registered voters in East Los Angeles have signed petitions, have taken the formal process of petitioning their government in order to seek an analysis, a fiscal analysis, to determine the viability of cityhood for East Los Angeles. An initial fiscal analysis certainly demonstrated that East LA, if incorporated, would be viable and would generate an estimated $51 million in revenue. The next step in this process now is to go before LAFCO and to ask for the official cityhood fiscal analysis. It costs money, and the deadline is April 29th to pay for a study. Members, during very hard economic recessionary times in a high-poverty community, the community has come together and are almost there in terms of collecting all the dollars that are needed. Over $105,000 have already been collected. The cost of the study is about $135,000. This bill, this appropriation would allow, as it has in the past, for the controller of the state of California to loan money to LAFCO for incorporation. AB 711 seeks a very modest sum of $45,000 as a short-term sort of bridge loan from the Environmental Enhancement and Mitigation Program Fund to help pay for this analysis. This is a fund that has been used in the past. This loan is required to be repaid within 2 years of the incorporation of the City of East LA. As the representative of East LA and along with the Majority Leader of the State Assemblyman, Calderon, who is the author of this bill, I ask you to help provide the people of East LA with the measure that will enable us to not lose those thousands of signatures that have been gathered. We are almost there. This short-term loan helps us get us over the line. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion or debate? Senator Cox, you're recognized.
Mr. President, members, there are several questions that need to be asked in this particular bill, but let me get to the most fundamental issue. You know, I have been in local government and state government now for a little less than 20 years, but I have always supported communities that wanted to become cities. And so we initially had a city by the name of an unincorporated area in the county of Sacramento by the name of Citrus Heights. Guess what Citrus Heights did? They said, we want to be a city enough to go out and raise the money that's necessary to get the financial analysis done. And I supported that. And guess what? The people of Sacramento County and Citrus Heights said, yeah, we support that as well. And then because of that success, along came Rancho Cordova. Rancho Cordova said, you know what, we like the concept of being a city. We think the closest to the people is the best government. So what did they do? They went out and raised $150,000 to take to LAFCO to get an analysis. They decided, in fact, that it was a viable alternative. And guess what? They, in fact, became a city. And I supported that. And then we had down in South Sacramento County, we have an area called Elk Grove. And Elk Grove looked at Citrus Heights and looked at Rancho Cordova and said, we want to be a city. What do we have to do?
Yeah.
So well, you got to raise enough money to get a financial analysis done so that you will determine whether or not you're viable. And guess what? That's what they did, but they didn't come to the state of California and say, give me some money. Take it out of this fund because we can't raise the third largest city in the county of Los Angeles can't raise $150,000 over a 6, 8, 10, 12-month period of time. Can't raise that kind of money. And so, members, let me just say to you, I am absolutely in favor of East Los Angeles becoming a city, but I'm not in favor of the state of California, in fact, ponying up the money. And here's how the ponying up comes. Ponying up the money comes on the basis we're going to take this money out of a fund which there's not any nexus for doing. We're going to take this $45,000 out of this fund, out of the fund, and you use it. And if in fact the people of East LA vote to incorporate, we'll pay your money back. But if they don't, if the analysis says they're not a viable city, then in fact the $45,000 is forgiven. Now, members, I would hope that we wouldn't create a precedent here, and somebody's going to jump up and say, well, there was a precedent here, there was a precedent, but the only actions I know about are the three that in my county, Sacramento County, and they didn't come to the state of California to ask for any money. They went to the people to, in fact, find the dollars. And so ask for a no vote on this very important measure.
Senator Harman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a question for the floor manager. Senator, two questions. Perhaps Senator Cox answered one already, but what if the incorporation is not approved or LAFCO doesn't recommend incorporation? What does become of the $45,000 loan that's proposed in this bill to be loaned to the proponents of the incorporation? That's question one. Is it going to be repaid or is it forgiven? And then the second question is, I served on LAFCO in Orange County for, I believe, several years, in my recollection, and I'm not aware of any other LAFCO proposal where the state helped fund the financial analysis. Is there precedent for this type of funding, and if so, who and how much and when, that type of thing? If you could, please.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Let me say that this bill does not set precedent. The precedent was already established. In fact, it was then Assembly Speaker Hertzberg who came to the legislature and asked for a loan. That was a loan of $1.8 million. $1.8 million in order to study the secession of the Valley from Los Angeles. That was some years ago. This bill asked for a very minor cost of $45,000. It was $1.8 million to look at secession. In addition to that, in the 2008 budget, we did do something like this where we have borrowed from the environmental fund, the mitigation fund, for general fund purposes. So this bill does not set new precedent. In fact, we believe, very modestly following what has already been established by this legislature.
Thank you very much, Senator. I appreciate that. Just a follow-up question. The $1.8 million, was it reimbursed because the Valley was not, as we know, incorporated? What became of that? That was forgiven?
Was forgiven.
And this would be the same process if the corporation does not go through, or if LAFCO does not, approve it, then the $45,000 would be forgiven.
That is the law that is established by the state, but it would only be for $45,000, and I will guarantee you cityhood will be achieved.
Thank you. On my own time. Members, I think this is not the road for us to be going down during these difficult budget times that we have currently here in Sacramento. We should not be loaning money to proponents of one thing or another. In this case, it happened to be proponents of incorporation. Who knows what it would be next time. I think this is the wrong thing to do. Other than the San Fernando Valley example, I'm not aware of any other situations where the state has loaned money to proponents of incorporation. I respectfully ask for no vote.
Senator Onestad.
Mr. President, members, a rhetorical question. If a city needs a $45,000 loan to do a study to see if it's got enough money and is economically viable to become a city, doesn't the question answer itself? No, it's not ready. If they can't afford $45,000 to do the study to see if they can afford to become a city, the answer is they can't afford to become a city. I would urge you to vote no, so that we don't get into a situation where we give them $45,000 now and it has to be asked to be forgiven, and then later on, what will we be asked to give this new, underfunded, unprepared city?
Any further discussion or debate? Senator Cedillo.
A rhetorical question. What price democracy? What price for democracy? What price for one of the communities where more people join up and sign up to defend our country? The home of Obregón. The home of people who just routinely out of high school will go and fight for our community, for our county and for our state, what price democracy? Of course, like Citrus Heights and like Rancho Cordova and like Elk Grove, this community has its hopes and aspirations for democratic governance, for local government, to have a say in what it does, for them to be able to have their own voice and their own representation close to where they live, within the proximity of their community. What price democracy? And so like these communities of Citrus Heights and Rancho Cordova and Elk Grove, they've pulled their resources, some financial, but some political. They've levied up and leveraged their political capital and had their voices speak for them and say that what price democracy? That this community that has waited and hoped to have its own representation, their own mayor, their own council, their own people that they can go approach and speak to when they have a problem and an issue, they've used their political capital to have their voices heard today. Now, the question was raised about nexus. I don't know. I think there's pretty much a direct nexus. Actually, I think you're at the right same point when you use money from environmental fund for a study that deals with the environment. I think the nexus is as close as it can be. And the law is what the law is. These loans are not unprecedented. They are made, and in accordance with the law, when the cities are incorporated, the money is paid back. And in accordance with the law, when the cities aren't incorporated, we, the state, have benefited from those studies to make sure that cities have not come together and been formed that are unable and incapable of self-governance. And we've benefited from that, and that's what we've paid for. That study, that insight, that foresight, that vision, that looking into the capacity of this group of citizens to speak for themselves. And so I ask you one last time, what price democracy? I ask for an aye.
Seeing no further debate or discussion, Senator Romero, you may close.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and let me thank Assemblyman Calderon for working with me and others on this floor to help bring this forward. Let me just answer a couple of questions. Number one, East LA is not a city yet. So when we talk about the loan right now, this is not a city that cannot afford the money, asking for money to become a city. The law is very clear. This is a group of residents who have petitioned their government to ask, and this is something, quite frankly, that the county could have done on its own. Let me just remind folks is what we're talking about. East Los Angeles, one of the most high poverty communities in California, internationally recognized. Everybody knows the brand name East LA. This is one of the most heavily polluted communities in terms of air and water quality. So seeking to borrow from the fund, Environmental Enhancement and Mitigation Fund, very clearly there is a nexus there. Last night, I don't know about you, I took a little time off and I watched on television that new series, The Story of Us, the birth of the American Revolution, the fight for democracy, ordinary people trying to give birth to a nation. I thought about East LA, ordinary people, low-income community, who on their own sought to petition their government to say, we would like to create a local body. Remember in LA County, 10 million people represented by 5 people on the Board of Supervisors. I don't want to take away anything from a supervisor, but it's no wonder people have come together to say, we'd like to have local control, self-determination. The residents on their own in this low-income community have raised to date about $105,000. They are almost there. In the worst recession The time clock began at the exact time when the bottom of the economy fell out. And even during these recessionary times, ordinary people in a low-income community felt so strongly as to be able to raise money to get almost to the amount that's needed, $105,000 to date. In addition to that, before, the community had to raise an additional $25,000 to get an initial analysis. They successfully did so. The reason that we are on the floor today asking for budget dust, quite frankly, in this multi-billion-dollar budget is because there is a signature deadline. It's actually arbitrary because in state law, it does not give a deadline date as to when the signatures expire. That's why we are here, to be able to assure LA County Board of Supervisors and the community that those signatures, some 35,000 signatures, John Hancock's Story of Us, that they will not simply be thrown in a wastebasket because April 29th is upon us. Members, I ask you, this bill doesn't set precedent. It reinforces what has been done in ways that have been done for other more affluent parts of the state. I don't believe there's going to be a run on the fund. In fact, after the loan to the Valley in Los Angeles, there was no additional demands coming to the legislature. But this is something that is very meaningful. Go back and watch The Story of Us. It is a beautiful story of a people's, a nation's desire to have dignity, self-respect, self-determination. It's a community that the initial analysis signals will be viable when it becomes a city. And I will guarantee you, Senator Cedillo, myself, Calderon, so many others are going to be working hard to assist in the additional fundraising so that perhaps by the time the governor is able to sign this bill, perhaps even the loan may not even be necessary. But we need it now so the deadline does not expire. Members, on behalf of a people's quest for democracy, I ask for an aye vote on this measure.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla?
Aye.
Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price?
Aye.
Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. DeCheney, aye.
Call the absentees.
Ashburn? Dutton? Dutton, no. Oropesa? Strickland? Walters? Wiggins?
Okay, Senator Romero moves the call. Senate third reading. Item 45, Senator Corbett. Pass on file. Item 46. Pass on file. Item 47. Senator Hancock.
Much.
Senate Bill 1256 by Senator Hancock, an act relating to Ed Roberts Day.
Excuse me, pass on file.
Thank you.
I did have a motion, however, or an announcement that I wanted to make, Senator Price.
Can you hold off till third reading? We'll bring it back. Can you hold off? We'll bring
On
it
the
back.
announcement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. However, I would like to do it before the Thornhill Elementary School class leaves. Thank you.
Item 48, Senator Corbett, pass on file. Item 49. Pass on file. Item 50. Pass on file. Item 51. Pass on file. Item 52. Pass on file. Item 53. Senator Onestad. Secretary, please.
Senate Bill 1176 by Senator Onestad, enacting animals.
Mr. President, members, SB 1176 clarifies and updates state law dealing with estray animals. Estrays are large animals like burros, horses, or cows that typically have been abandoned in some location, and there's a need to update the code to reflect more modern definitions of control animal efforts. The bill is sponsored by the Agricultural Commissioners of California. I request an aye vote.
Any debate or discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onestad?
Aye.
Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee aye. Ducheney aye. Cedillo aye. Cogdill aye. Okay, Mr. President, ayes 36, no 0.
Ayes 36, no zeros. That measure is carried, passed. Okay, we will lift the call on item 711. Call the absentees.
Ashburn? Oropesa? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Ashburn, aye. Mr. President, ayes 27, noes 9.
Ayes 27, noes 9. That measure carries. Thank you. Back to Senate third reading, item 54. Pass on file, item 55. Senator Calderon.
Senate Bill 1011 by Senator Calderon, an act relating to alcoholic beverages.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, the Alcoholic Beverage Control Act provides that any person under the age of 21 who purchases, consumes, or possesses alcohol in any public place is guilty of a misdemeanor. But alcohol poisoning is often the result of a binge drinking and can result in death. And this death, it's often preventable when medical authorities are able to intervene in a timely manner. What this bill grants is any person under the age of 21 shall be immune from prosecution when it involves only alcohol consumption. Several states have similar laws in place, including Colorado, New Jersey, and Texas. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any further debate or discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? I. Hollingsworth. I. Huff. I. Kehoe. I. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. I. Maldonado. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Oropesa. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price.
Aye.
I. Romero. I. Runner. I. Semidian. I. Steinberg. I. Strickland. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee, aye. Strickland, aye. Mr. President, ayes 36, no zero.
Ayes 36, no zeros. That measure is passed. Item 56, pass and retain. Item 57, Senator Hollingsworth. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 75 by Senator Hollingsworth relative to wildfires.
Thank you, Senators. Mr. President, this measure would declare that California is in an ongoing emergency due to the threat of wildfire, call on the federal government to take immediate measures to prevent catastrophic wildfires, and request that the governor advocate at the federal level that the U.S. Forest Service undertake prevention and maintenance work in the state's federal forest lands. And we ask for an aye vote.
Any debate or discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Maldonado. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Steinberg. Aye. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Semidian, aye. Padilla, aye. Cedillo, aye. Mr. President, ayes 34, no zero.
Ayes 34, no zero. That measure passes. Senator Harmon.
Yes, I'm ready to take up
Resolution
the
is
next
adopted.
file item.
You may. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1338 by Senator Harmon, enact relating to crimes.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 1338 will clean up ambiguities in current law relating to the theft of agricultural products. Section 487 of the Penal Code only refers to how to establish the value of stolen avocados or citrus fruit. There's ambiguity as to whether this section applies to other types of stolen agricultural products, making it difficult to award restitution to the victims in those cases. This bill will assure that victims receive fair restitution by guaranteeing that the method used to determine the value of their stolen property is clearly stated and applicable to all varieties of crops. SB 1364 is sponsored by the Tulare County District Attorney. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any debate or discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton.
Aye.
Aye. Flores. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Maldonado. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price.
Aye.
Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 33, no 0.
Ayes 33, no 0. That measure passes. Item 59. Pass and retain. Item 60. Pass. Item 61. Senator Simidian. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1342 by Senator Simidian, an act relating to elections.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a legislative do-over. We did this bill, identical bill, a couple of years ago. It deals with the issue of precinct sizes and is in an effort to respond to the ever-growing number of permanent vote-by-mail, PVM, voters. The challenge, members, is that if there are no more than 1,000 voters in a precinct, that rule applies whether there are 900 vote-by-mail voters or 100 vote-by-mail voters. And of course, the numbers are widely disparate across jurisdictions. This bill, members, I want to underscore, does not reduce the number of polling places. It simply says, let's average it out so that we don't have folks standing in long lines at one polling place while across town or across the county, we've got a group of folks sitting around with no one walking into the polling place because they're all vote by mail. This same measure got bipartisan support in the Assembly 2 years ago with 57 votes there, got bipartisan support in the Senate 2 years ago. Senators Runner and Margette and Cogdill were kind enough to vote for it at the time. It received one of those generic vetoes from the governor 2 years ago. I went back to the governor's folks this year, asked if they'd be willing to take another look. To their credit, they said they would be willing to do so. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Any debate or discussion? Senator Correa.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senators, I rise to oppose this measure again, and I'll tell you why, as some of the analysis clearly indicate. This reallocation of polling places is going to result in additional confusion by the voters. The flaw in this bill is it essentially takes AVBs, absentee ballots, and deducts them from a formula, not taking into consideration the fact that a lot of people receive absentee ballots, then walk them in on election day. So what you've got is reallocation of polling places, then you have confusion as to where people are supposed to go to vote. Now, I'll give you a good example. In my district in 2006, reallocation, reestablishing some of these polling places, people were waiting up to 2 hours after 8 p.m. Let me repeat that. People were waiting to vote up to 2 hours after 8 p.m. because of the long lines. This bill purports to reduce that, but what it does, again, its flaw is it fails to take into consideration people vote AVBs on election day. You've got situations, colleagues, that this confusion, especially among new registered voters that want to walk in their ballots and that are going to one place and all of a sudden flip around and have to go to another place, will essentially lose their opportunity as American citizens to vote. I'm going to ask you to vote no on this measure. Well-intended, but I believe flawed in its formula.
Any more debate or discussion? Senator Simidian, you may close.
Thank you. Members, let me point out the problem that was described by Senator Correa is a problem that exists under the existing system and in fact will be ameliorated if we can finally bring some common sense and balance to the precinct sizes. The bill does in fact acknowledge that there are folks who walk in on election day and drop off their vote by mail ballot. It simply says, wouldn't it be more sensible if they were balanced in the number of registered voters? The bill has no formal opposition. It is supported by the Urban Counties Caucus, including Orange County, the very jurisdiction that Senator Correa referenced. It is supported by the League of Women Voters, and it is also supported by Sonoma County, a more rural county. So my hope is that you will join me in doing a common sense flexibility which does not reduce the number of polling places, simply says let's not have people standing in long lines at one side of the jurisdiction while they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs at the other side of the jurisdiction. That's why the League of Women Voters praises the bill for its efficiency and effectiveness. That's why the Urban Counties Caucus, including Orange County, supports the bill, and that's why Sonoma County supports the bill. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote, and I hope that Senator Correa would join me in supporting the wishes of Orange County and the wishes of the League of Women Voters. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price?
Aye.
Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Correa, no. Harmon, aye.
Ayes 29, noes 4. That measure is passed. Item 62, pass and retain. Item 63, Senator Denham. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1229 by Senator Denham, an act relating to vehicles.
Mr. President, members, SB 1229 adds all-terrain vehicles to the list of vehicles that state law classifies as implements of husbandry, vehicles used exclusively in this conduct of agriculture operations. Very simply, we now have ATVs that have sprayers hooked up to them. They may have small plows hooked up to them. But regardless, they are able to do the job and replace tractors, replace some of the other vehicles on a more economical way, and this bill just adds them to that list of implements. Right now, you may have somebody that works for you, or you may be a farmer yourself that's driving an ATV and having to simply go across to another field. Right now, you would be in violation of law, and this bill would correct that. I would ask for your aye vote.
Any further discussion or debate? Any objection of using the unanimous roll call? Ayes 36, no 0. That measure is adopted. It's passed also. Okay, item 65. 65, pass and retain. Item 66. Senator Padilla, Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1462 by Senator Padilla, an act relating to telecommunications.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 1462 is a code cleanup bill. Current law uses the terms local exchange service provider and local exchange telephone corporation in references where the correct term is local exchange carrier. This bill changes those references and makes other cleanups to the law. I would ask for your aye vote.
Any further debate or discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested?
Is this a candidate for unanimous consent? Any objection to using the previous roll call? Ayes 36, no 0. That measure is adopted. Thank you. Measure is passed. Okay. Item 67, Senator Pavley. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 929 by Senator Pavley, an act relating to hazardous materials.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, Senate Bill 929 is co-sponsored by the Center for Environmental Health and AAUW, and it's a measure that seeks to protect our children from undue and unnecessary exposure to a toxic metal called cadmium. Now it's found in some children's jewelry. Specifically, this bill would prohibit the manufacture and distribution of cadmium in children's jewelry designed for children 6 and under. Some of you may remember back in 2006 there was a bill to ban lead in children's jewelry. In an unanticipated, unexpected consequences, some foreign manufacturers have simply been replacing one dangerous metal, that was lead, with another, cadmium. As you may know, cadmium is a known carcinogen and reproductive toxicant, and like lead, cadmium has been shown to cause developmental problems in young children. And lots of times children don't need to ingest a product with cadmium in it. They can just bite or suck on it. For example, I wanted to share with you what I'm holding in my hand. It's an adorable pendant from a young girl's nationwide fashion chain store. It looks very delicious, doesn't it? Well, it's a cupcake. And would you want your child to put this in its mouth? Well, probably not, because it's 75% pure cadmium. It is a real problem. So this just builds on DTSC's efforts to enforce lead in children's jewelry. They can just recalibrate the same tool, the analyzer gun that they have, and they can check for cadmium at the same time. This is a good bill to protect children's health. I ask for your aye vote.
Okay. Any further debate or discussion? Any objection with applying the previous roll call? Call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price?
Aye.
Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee aye. Cox aye. Runner no. Mr. President, ayes 26, noes 10.
Ayes 26, noes 10. That measure is adopted. Measure is passed. Item 68. Senator Leno, pass and retain. Item 70.
Item 69.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll go back to governor's appointments. Mr. Steinberg.
Here we go. I'm hearing many motions to adjourn here. Abel, it's been a piece of cake. Mr. President, members, I ask unanimous consent to take up the confirmation of Senator Abel Maldonado for the office of Lieutenant Governor without reference to file.
Without objection.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As you all know, on the 3rd of February, our Rules Committee conducted a lengthy confirmation hearing on Senator Maldonado's appointment as Lieutenant Governor. He was approved on a 4-0 vote, and the full Senate voted to confirm him on February 11th by a vote of 26-7. The Assembly last week, well, let's go back and recount history a little bit, painful as it may be to Senator Maldonado. The Assembly did not pass his confirmation back in February. The governor renominated Senator Maldonado, and last Thursday, the Assembly, of course, approved his nomination. Because we held a full hearing so recently, I decided, and obviously with your consent, members, to bring Senator Maldonado's nomination to the floor without the necessity of another rules hearing. We know our colleague, Senator Maldonado, well. We know that he is a sincere, hard-working individual. We know he will bring the same spirit of hard work and problem-solving to the office of Lieutenant Governor. It's a little bit bittersweet because we will miss your presence here in the Senate chambers, Senator Maldonado, and we thank you for all of your work. I do want to end my remarks with a little bit of advice because, you know, truth of the matter, it's not been real high profile, but I've been the acting Lieutenant Governor for the past number of months, and so, you know, I have many lessons to impart here, and I'd like to just relay 3 of them, if I might, 3 pieces of advice. Number 1, Senator Maldonado, make sure that you frequently call the governor and tell him you look tired. You should take an out-of-state vacation. Number 2, always have a pen on you when his plane leaves California airspace. And number 3, do not take the title of President of the Senate too seriously. With that, we wish you the very best. I'm confident this vote will go well. I urge my colleagues to cast an aye vote.
Any further debate or discussion? Senator Onestad.
I have asked Abel for just to give him also one more piece of advice. Don't be in a hurry to change the drapes too soon.
Senator Romero.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I want to rise as I did in February just to indicate that this, of course, is a confirmation of a nomination. As we know, you have a long road ahead of you till November, and that will be a debate and a dialogue, and I wish each and every one in that democratic enterprise success and good luck. I'm sure it'll be a great debate. But just as somebody who's always, you know, called you my own hermanito, my little brother, it's been an honor to serve with you in the California State Senate. I will likewise miss you as well. I want to wish you the best of luck. Let me just point out as well, too, that the last time that California had a Latino lieutenant governor, it was, I think, 1871. And he later actually became governor when that governor resigned, if I have my history correct. But don't settle in too much on that. Anyways, congratulations to you, your family. Good luck, buena suerte, and I will miss you.
Senator Correa.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Senators, if I may address the body in Spanish.
You may.
Estimados senadores, con mucho orgullo, levanto hoy mi voz apoyando a mi colega, el senador Ivo Maldonado, como vicegobernador de nuestro estado de California, el estado de oro. Yo he servido con el senador Maldonado en Sacramento más de 10 años y lo conozco bien. Y sé que en sus actos oficiales como vicegobernador seguirá teniendo el bienestar de todos nosotros, el estado, el pueblo, todos nosotros que vivimos en California, enfrente de todo. Espero que todos los senadores aquí nos unamos por el senador Maldonado y votemos por él como el nuevo vicegobernador del estado de California. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Senator Alquist.
Well, I rise to also support the nomination by the governor of Senator Maldonado, with whom I share a birthday, and I'm old enough to be his mama, for the interim vacancy as Lieutenant Governor. I stood in February, and I just would like to say 3 or 4 things. Abel, you are a great person to work with, very conscientious, a hard worker, a problem solver. I've seen you since when you were elected 2 years to the Assembly after I was. You reach across the aisle, and certainly there have been several budgets we've been able to pass because you had the courage to vote for them. So it is my honor to say that I am supportive of the confirmation and that we will miss you, and maybe we'll share some birthday cake.
Any further debate or discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? No. Dutton? Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price?
Aye.
Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, no. Mr. President, ayes 25, no 7.
Ayes 25, noes 7. That nomination is confirmed. Okay. Right. Hmm? The Lieutenant Governor is recognized at the Speaker Pro Tem's desk.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. You have no idea how I feel right now, but I just want to thank a couple of people. First and foremost, the people of the 15th District of California in the Senate. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. They're the ones that have been supportive all along. I want to thank my family. They're not here, but they're on their way up. And I want to thank Darrell Steinberg, my friend, who from the beginning of this long process that I thought would be over in February has always been upfront with me and always said, Abel, will always be fair. And I could never ask anything else, Mr. Pro Tem. To Dennis Hollingsworth, thank you, Dennis, for all your support. And to all of you who are here today, all I can say is that I'll never forget where I come from, and I'll never forget whose money government spends. And I've got a tough job in the Lieutenant Governor's office. I'm going to work every day that I live, that I can breathe, to create jobs in California. So with that, that office is yours. It's not mine. You're always welcome to it. The people of California are welcome to it. And I wanted to leave the person at the end to say thank you, and that's to Governor Schwarzenegger. If it wasn't for him, obviously, I wouldn't be standing here. And he announced me on Jay Leno. And he says, you need to tell your mom and your dad to watch Jay Leno tonight. And I said, Governor, Jay Leno doesn't come on Univision. And I'll leave the rest at that. All I can say is, Governor Schwarzenegger, thank you so much for the confidence and the trust in me. I look forward to working every day side by side you. So thank you very much to all of you.
Okay. Yep. Patty is still using it. Patty.
She's got a wharf, right?
Right.
Okay, then recognize her.
Okay. Senator Pavley? We'll take up ACR 145. Secretary, please read.
Yes,
Without objection.
without objection.
Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 145 by Assemblymember Brownlee, relative to California Healthy Schools Day.
Yes, thank you very much. Members, this is a resolution which recognizes today, April 26th, as California Healthy Schools Day and encourages schools to take steps to improve air quality, lower cleaning costs, and safeguard the health of students and employees by switching to less toxic cleaning products. As you know, children spend many hours of each day at school. Hazardous chemicals contained in many cleaning products put our students and school staff at risk unnecessarily. Many schools are saving money, lowering absentee rates, and improving health by switching to less toxic products. And this resolution simply encourages those efforts statewide in order to foster more healthy learning environments. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any more discussion or debate? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price?
Aye.
Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Maldonado, aye. Smidian, aye. Mr. President, ayes 26, noes 1.
Ayes 26, noes 1. That measure passes. Going back to Assembly third reading, item 91. Okay. Item 92. Okay. We'll move on now to the consent calendar. Item 95. Senator Denham, I'm sorry. What's it got? Item 92, Senator Denham. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 134 by Assemblymember Adams, relative to Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Mr. President, members, ACR 134 would proclaim April 2010 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Child abuse and neglect is a real threat in our state. We need to show our support for efforts to stop and prevent abuse and neglect from ruining our children's lives. Please join me in raising awareness for this great cause. I would ask for your aye vote.
Any further debate or discussion? Any objection with utilizing the previous roll call? The previous unanimous roll call. Ayes 36, no 0. That measure passes. The resolution is adopted. Consent calendar 90. Senator Dutton.
Yeah, if you could we go back to 91? I was sleeping at my desk.
Okay. Item 91, ACR 115. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 115 by Assemblymember Emerson, relative to California Safe Digging Month.
ACR 115 would help educate excavators and the public on safe digging practices. Actually, when I first agreed to do this, I was kind of wondering if I really want to take too much time. However, as I refreshed my memory, back in 1976, I actually had my office in Culver City on Van Nuys Boulevard. And what happened back then was there was some work being done on the median. Unfortunately, the workers that were involved in that project hit a line, an underground line, that they thought was water. Turned out to be petroleum. And it pursued in a giant explosion took place. It rattled my office that I was in, and it actually leveled an entire couple of city blocks down there. It was one of the worst disasters that ever occurred in that area. As a result of that, something good did come out of it, and that's what this resolution is about. There's a recognition system. It's an 811 number that people can actually call to locate underground infrastructure so that we can more safely make repairs to our city streets and so forth. And that's what this resolution is about. So with that, I would ask for your aye vote.
Any further discussion or debate? Any objection using the previous unanimous roll call? Ayes 35, no 0. That resolution is adopted. Okay. Consent calendar, item 95. Senator Smidian. Item 95.
Senate Bill 1464 and Senate Bill 977.
Any objection to applying the previous unanimous roll call? Ayes 35, no 0. That measure is adopted. Okay. No further business. At this time, Senator Steinberg, the desk is Senator Anastad, I'm sorry.
In memory of?
You may. Please.
Mr. President, members, on April 15th, Dr. Michael Polka died at the age of 95 in Weaverville. He held a long and storied career in Trinity County, spanning over 37 years. He had a private medical practice, served 30 years as the Trinity County Health Officer, and was Chief of Staff at Trinity Hospital for a time. He was known for not only taking care of humans, but he'd take care of dogs and cats and horses and owls that were brought into the emergency room at that time also. He was at heart a healer. He's survived by his wife Betty, his son Michael, and his daughters Melanie Reagan, who currently works for Senator Harmon, and Sandy Polka, who worked with Senator Parada. He would be greatly missed by his family and his community.
Thank you, Senator Anastad. Please bring the name forward so we make sure it is permanently memorialized in the state's records. Senator Corbin. Senator Corbett?
Adjournment in memory.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise today to remember the life of Jerry Cooper, who was a resident of the city of Hayward in the 10th Senate District. Jerry was born in San Francisco and attended the California College of Arts and Crafts in Oakland. He was a tremendously talented artist, and his sculptures and paintings are adored by family and friends. Eventually, Jerry joined the Army and served in the intelligence service during the Hungarian uprising. When he arrived home, he received his master's in education at San Francisco State and began a long career working with at-risk youth. Jerry worked with students at Juvenile Hall in Alameda County for 34 years. Jerry was the husband of Roberta Cooper, who served as mayor of Hayward for 3 terms. He was totally devoted to his wife, and he was her biggest advocate. And my fondest memory of Jerry Cooper is that he was always at her side, no matter what the political event, no matter how late at night it was, no matter whether it was the weekend or a weekday, always with a smile on his face. Together, Roberta and Jerry had 2 sons, who one serves as a police officer in the city of Hayward, and he has 5 grandchildren. Jerry was a wonderful man, and his presence will be missed by all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Corbett. If you will bring that name forward, we'll make certain that it is permanently memorialized in the state's history. If there's no other business, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We've got, I know, full committee schedule today and committees tomorrow, Wednesday, which will be check-in days. Thursday, we'll resume session at 9 o'clock, continue to work our files so as the session progresses, we keep moving at a steady clip and steady pace. Right? Thank you.
Thank you. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Thursday at 9 a.m.